everyone, welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittney Bundles. Today I have a really interesting topic for us to discuss. And when I say discuss, you all don't leave me hanging. Feel free to send me an email to btalks@yahoo.com with any of your podcast ideas for the next episode, or with any feedback on the current episode, your thoughts, your opinions, whatever the case may be. I always want to keep the conversation and our connection going and thriving. And so feel free to reach out to me. But today I want to talk about entrepreneurial dating and relationship struggles. There are so many things that you can notice more, and not even just, how can I say this? What are the right words? There are so many things that your title of an entrepreneur may impact in your business and also personal life. Okay, that's a good way to say it. Because when I became an entrepreneur, not only did I notice, of course, things changing in my business life as far as what I did day to day, how I received my payment, how I paid myself versus waiting on a check, how I was able to create multiple streams of income. So, that comes with the territory. But also what comes with the territory is some struggles that you may face in your personal life with not only business relationships, but while you're dating and also while you're building relationships, maybe friendships, or I don't know, some people say associates, whatever the case, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of times we may face difficulties and hardships through relationships as our entrepreneurial journey grows. And so that's what I want to talk about in today's episode. So if you're with me, if you're buckled up, let's go on this ride. Let's get started in just a moment. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is support. So when you are dating, or when you're trying to build a relationship like a friendship or anything, or something like that, from my experience, I felt a lack of support in different relationships in my life. I'm not going to say that every single relationship I felt a lack of support, but I am saying that there were definitely times where I felt a lack of support, and I didn't know if the relationships were going to be able to continue, because I'm like, well, if you don't support me, I don't understand how this is going to blossom. If you don't understand what I'm doing or aren't behind my movement, I don't understand how we can move together as a force, like that song, we're I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together, So I'm thinking like, well, if you don't really understand the movement, which is embedded in my heart, then how can we really be this force together? And one thing that I had to realize in my own life is that support comes in so many different ways. And there are people that are built for your lifestyle, and there's people that are not. I had to figure out what support meant to other people. Just like there's different love languages, different ways that people are able to gravitate and receive love that they're being given or shown, there's also different ways that you'll be able to gravitate and understand how someone is showing you support if you open your mind to it. So what I had to do is redirect my thinking and my mentality. Not saying that once I redirected my thinking and mentality that everyone, I just saw support in everyone, because that's not true. There are people that are just flat out not supportive. And so at that point, you have to make a decision. There are people that have written into me via email and via text message. And not only do people ask questions in regards to starting their business, but they also ask questions in regards to the effects that their business has on their personal and business life. And so I get quite a few emails asking about relationships and what should I do? Should I cut my boyfriend off? Should I cut my girlfriend off? Should I cut my friend off? Should I cut my coworker off? Because they don't understand and support my vision and my dream. And I'm never going to say, yes, just automatically cut somebody off, because, that's not my place. And I don't know both sides of the story, because typically when I'm reading emails, it's it's pretty one-sided. It's how you feel and your thoughts and your opinions, and it's your letter from your perspective. And so I don't know both sides to just say, yeah, just go ahead and do that. But I can let you know that support is huge in anything that you do. And the people that I surround myself with, I choose to surround myself with people that support me, not just when something goes well, but they support me and my vision before anything even happens. So what I mean by that is, what you want to look for, just roll with me here, is someone that supports your vision and your dream and your seed before it even grows. And the reason that I say that is because there are a lot of people that will get on the bandwagon and start supporting you and start giving you accolades and start spreading the word about your business, but not until other people start doing the same thing. There were people that pretty much ignored my business like it did not exist until they started to see traction with it. And depending on the relationships that you have, different people will see different things speed up in your life. So if you're really, really close to someone, say you're dating someone, or say you're a friend to someone, or even a really, really close family member that you consider not only family, but also like a friend. You confide in them, you tell them your dreams and your goals and, your hopes. And you notice that every time you're telling them something, they're not really excited for you. Now, be careful with this, because not everyone is going to show the same action behind their excitement. Okay, because there's some people that when they get excited, they're crying. There's some people when they get excited, they're at a loss for words, so they're just there. There's some people that really, really are energetic. You can hear it in their voice when they get excited. So not everyone's going to have the same reaction to being excited as you are. And that's what I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast when I stated, when I opened my mentality and when I was able to look at the differences between what I consider support and what others consider support, I was able to see, okay, so when they did this, that was their way of supporting me. Even though I didn't really receive it that way or didn't see it that way initially, that was their way of supporting me. And so you want to be careful for people that are only supportive when they notice things starting to pick up. A true friend, in my opinion, a true person that supports you is going to support your dream, even when it's just you that sees your vision, even when it's just you that's working on it. For me personally, it's more valuable. It's more valuable to me to have someone at the very beginning stages with me, rooting me on, versus someone to come in when everything's developed and say, hey, I've been rooting for you. Because at that point, it's easy to root for me, right? It's easy to join the bandwagon. It's easy to do that. It's easy to say, well, did you know my friend owns this? Or did you know my friend does this? And so it's not so easy to do it to some people when you don't really have anything to show. So I think it's really, really valuable. So even in my personal life, when I have people that have been with me on my journey, on my YouTube channel, I see the same names under comments that I saw maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when I first started my journey. And so my journey as far as on the YouTube platform. And so that's really, it's really, really, I can't even describe the feeling. It means it means so much to me. And it's the biggest form of support, one of the biggest forms of support that anyone can receive. Just knowing that you have someone that was there with you before your vision even came to reality. You had someone there that supported your dream. I often ask myself this question: is it more important for someone to support your dream, or is it more important for someone to support your business? And for my, just if I had to choose, obviously you need support with both, but it's more meaningful to me to support my dream. It's more meaningful to me to give me the boost that I need to actually get started with my business and move forward with my business. And even if I don't get the boost from anyone, I'm still going to move forward. I'm just saying that support is one of the biggest reasons, aside from money, that relationships end. That's a really, really common issue I hear so often when people do start their entrepreneurial journey, because not everyone is going to support. And even if people are supportive, we have to be open to asking those questions as to, okay, you do support me, teach me, tell me, how are you supporting? I want to be able to see it and receive it. The next thing that I want to go over that is another issue with, or could be an issue with, dating and also building relationships, being an entrepreneur, is finding the balance. So finding the balance is something that really takes fine tuning, right? Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, you can easily find yourself getting wrapped up in doing your daily task for your business. Because a lot of times we have this goal. We know where we want to go. Like, I know where I want to be. I know what I'm working towards. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I consider myself focused. Now, does that mean that some days I'm not going to take a break? No, it doesn't mean that. Does that mean that, sometimes I don't get distracted? It doesn't mean that. But ultimately, the overall picture of my mindset, I'm pretty focused. I know what I want. I'm working toward that diligently and intentionally every single day. So I'm not just waking up saying, I hope that this happens. I hope that my business gets here by December. I hope that this happens this year, but I'm actually working towards it every day. It can be really easy to get wrapped up in your everyday task. You know, I have to do this. I have to get this done. I need to get this done before this date. I have a deadline to get this done. I have to reply back to this customer. I have to go ahead and send this client this information. I have to run to the post office. I have to create a YouTube video. I need to also create my podcast. I need to edit my podcast. I need to post on my social media accounts. I need to check to see if I'm doing any speaking engagements, even though a lot of the engagements now are going to be virtually, but still, I still need to check and I need to plan for that. Not only do you have your business going, but you also now have to factor into, well, how can I also build and nurture this relationship? Because it's not right to put everything into one area and neglect the other. But also, am I wrong for expecting my boyfriend, girlfriend, my friend, my cousin, my sister, whoever the case may be, to respect the fact that I'm building my brand and to hold off with me building into them as well, or me building into our relationship? Is that wrong for me to expect them to hold off? And so some of those thoughts run through our heads like, well, if you support me, then you understand that I'm going to be busy all day, every day. If you support me, then you understand that I'm on the grind all the time. And so a lot of times it can kind of play on our mind. You know, we're thinking, are we doing the right thing? I thought that you wanted me to be focused. I thought that you wanted me to grind. I thought that you wanted me to stay focused on my business. And now that I'm doing it, you're just completely out of whack. You know, you're going crazy, but this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. And so what we have to do, what I found helpful in my relationships to do, is to make sure that I'm planning everything out accordingly. There is a such thing as too much. You know, water, for an example, is good. Water is good for you, but you can drink enough water to the point that it's unhealthy. Okay. Exercise is good for you, generally speaking. You know, it's typically good for you. But you can get to the point where you're over exercising and overdoing it to the point that you're not even allowing your muscles to heal, where you're hurting yourself. And so we all have to figure out a balance. Balance is really, really important, especially being an entrepreneur, because we're no longer working in that 9-to-5 disciplined arena. And I say disciplined arena because when you go to work, typically everything's laid out for you. Now, I'm not saying, you know, depending on the industry that you work in and depending on your job, everyone has different tasks. But I'm saying as far as your work hours or your salary or your hourly rate, also your job title, the place that you're going to, what your job consists of, also the time that you start work. So if it's 9 and you end at 5, everything's pretty much structured. You're in a structured type of environment. When you become an entrepreneur and now you're given the freedom to choose, okay, well, what do I do? Do I need to spend another hour creating this page on my website? Or should I spend this hour chilling with my friends? Or should I spend this hour kicking it with my girlfriend, my boyfriend, in general? What should I do? You know, you kind of find yourself in a position where you're like, wait a minute, I don't know what I should do at this point. Should I rest? Should I work? Should I play? What should I do? And so it's really important to find that balance, because without finding the balance, a lot of relationships meet a misunderstanding standstill. You don't really understand where I'm coming from, and I don't really understand where you're coming from. I thought that you supported my dream, and you say you do, but when I go after my dream, you're not really supporting it. And you thought that I supported the relationship. I may say I do, but on your side, when you're wanting me to build into the relationship, whatever relationship that may be, I'm like, no, I don't have the time. So finding that balance. So what I've done is I plan my day every day, and some days I fall short, but I plan my day to make sure that I incorporate everything that I need to incorporate. So no longer does it feel like I'm just running and not stopping, but I'm organized to the point that it feels like even if I'm running, everything is getting taken care of. So I'm running, but my house is still clean. I'm running, but I still have taught my children what I needed to teach them. I'm running, but I'm still spending time, the necessary time that I need to with my children. I'm running, I'm doing my work, I'm still getting back to my clients. I'm still finding time to go to the post office. I'm still building relationships. I'm still checking on my mom. I'm still checking on my grandparents. I'm still communicating with friends and different relationships. And so it's really important to find that balance. How are you going to balance everything out to make sure that every cup gets filled? Now, there are going to be some days where maybe you didn't fill every single cup, but then we have to come back to the drawing board, or it's a good idea to come back to the drawing board and say, you know what can I do going forward to make sure that I'm touching every single area? So that is really, really important. And that's another struggle that I would say a lot of entrepreneurs have, not just myself, but a lot of people that I have spoken to, and also a lot of people that have written in have definitely expressed struggles and hardships in relation to finding balance through relationships. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is jealousy. So jealousy is another thing that commonly comes up when you are starting your entrepreneurial journey. And a lot of times it may be easy to spot, and it may also be hard to spot, but for the majority of the time, it's fairly easy for me to spot jealousy. And jealousy doesn't mean necessarily that that person doesn't like you, or that they hate you, or that they want to sabotage you, but it may be something that that person is dealing with internally. It may be something, maybe the more you succeed and the more you move forward, that person is sitting there thinking, wow, like I wish I would start moving on with my dreams. I wish I had the courage to move forward like she's moving forward, or I wish I had the funds to be able to invest how she's investing, or I wish that I had the thoughts and the mindset and the creativity that she has to be able to put into my business, whatever the case may be. You never know unless you really, you ask why someone may be jealous. This is another common reason that affects a lot of relationships when you do become an entrepreneur. Because at first, a lot of times people are asking you, well, why are you doing that? And they're laughing at you for spending time with your business. And they're not really understanding why you're constantly promoting with no likes. And they're not understanding why you constantly are thinking of new things to do, but they don't see any support. And I love this saying. At first they ask why, and later they ask how. That saying is probably it's in my top favorite sayings and top favorite quotes, because it's so true. I've experienced this so many times when people are like, why are you doing this? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Hey, I don't know. I ain't gonna do that right now. You do it. Let me know how it works. And then a month later, or maybe a year later, or even a few years later, people are like, wow, I see why you did it. How did you do it? Like, how did you get to where you're at now? And so I love that opportunity to explain to people, well, this is why I did what I did. And this is why I do what I do every day. Even though you may not see instant results, it's all building up the foundation that I need to keep my business moving forward. And so because people may not have what you have, or what it takes to run their business, or they may not think that they have what it takes to run their business, because a lot of people have what it takes. They have what it takes. They have the determination, they have the dedication, they have the creativity, they have the drive, they have the passion. We all have, a purpose, but a lot of people just don't understand or know where to start, or have the confidence to actually start. They may not believe that anyone's going to support them, or they may not really feel confident or comfortable connecting with other people and building those relationships, whatever the case may be. But a lot of people may find themselves jealous in the relationship with you. What I would recommend to that is to always lend a helping hand. So for me, I don't want anyone to think, especially if you're close to me, I don't want you to think that I'm competing against you. I don't want you to think that I have something that you can't get. I want everyone that's close to me, and even people that are not close to me, to know that whatever I do, whatever you see that you want that I have, it's possible for you to have it too. And I have pretty much a blueprint of how I got it. And of course, the blueprint won't work exactly for every single person the way that it worked for me, but there are basic fundamentals to building a successful business that have been shown truths in my life, in my business life, and also in other businesses that I've worked with. And so what I do to combat any before I can even sense jealousy, or even if I do sense jealousy, I'm like, look, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to get started with your business. Now, of course, I love the fact that my approach doesn't tell you you have to do A, B, and C in order to reach success. My approach is more so of, well, let me show you what I did, or tell you what I did. Let me get a little bit of information about your business, your goals, and let's create a plan to move you closer. So I like using the resources and the information and the experiences that I have to help others reach their goal. So that would be my advice to any type of jealousy in relationships that you're finding yourself in once you start your entrepreneurial journey, because a lot of times jealousy will arise, and that's another struggle that people deal with in any relationship. It's jealousy. And so to combat that, like I mentioned, what I love to do is I love to level the playing field. We all can help each other. So you don't have to be jealous of me. You don't have to be jealous, because anything that I have, I thank God that I have it, but I remain humble because anyone can lose anything that they have. So there's nothing to be jealous about. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is mentally draining. So a lot of times when entrepreneurs get started with their business, even me, it can be mentally draining And it can also compromise your creative talents and everything around you when you have people around you that are just very negative. It's really important to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are positive individuals. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that everyone's going to be happy every single day. I don't mean that everyone's going to be optimistic every single day. People are allowed bad days, in my opinion. However, I'm referring to the overall character of that person. If you're surrounding yourself with people that are doubters, people that really don't have any dreams, people that are easily discouraged or deterred, people that don't see any hope or any positivity in anything in life in general, that can be very detrimental to you building your brand. Because what I would find myself doing, constantly being around people that were just very negative or very that's what I want to say, very negative. I would find myself constantly trying to combat that negativity. So, hey, have you tried this? Hey, have you done this? Hey, let's try this. Hey, let's do this. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to try and pep anyone up or try to bring anyone out of their low spot. However, if you're constantly doing that and you're constantly talking about negativity and you're constantly hearing that and that's constantly being spoken to you, and you're sitting there trying to fight back between all of the negativity and you're trying to remain positive, it can definitely become draining. It can become very, very draining. I've had experiences and been in situations where I have lost my creativity. I've gone on just like a blank in my mind because there was just so much negativity. And I'm like, look, this is not healthy. So I'm not a person that's going to say, cut so-and-so off. Don't ever talk to so-and-so, because we're all people. And I wouldn't want anyone to cut me off or to not talk to me if I'm dealing with something or if I was going through a rough patch in my life. That's not what I'm saying at all. So please don't misunderstand that. However, I am saying that you do need to be selective about the people that you allow very close in your inner circle, because it's really important for you to understand that when you're running a business, not only do you affect yourself, but you also affect those that you're coming into contact with. Typically with a lot of businesses, you're working with someone. So I talk a lot about relationship building. So if you're in a negative mind frame, or if you're constantly trying to battle between negative thoughts and positive thoughts, that can definitely have an impact on how you treat other people. It can have an impact on how you feel, which can have an impact on how you treat people. And so you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can possibly do to keep yourself in a peaceful, positive mind frame. Peaceful and positive. That's what I aim for every single day. Now, I'm not going to say that some days my peace doesn't get disturbed, because I'll be lying if I say that. Yeah, some days my peace does get disturbed, but I know what to do. What I like to do is I speak truth to myself. I tell myself the truth. I speak back to any negative thoughts that I'm having with truthful statements. I also like to make sure that I have pick-me-ups around me. So I pray. If I'm dealing with something that is really affecting me, I'm praying about it. Not only am I praying, but I also like to listen to music. Music really uplifts me. It puts me in a whole different realm. I like to also work on my business. So if I'm feeling a little down, then I'm like, you know what? Let me do something that I like doing. I love working my business. I love everything about my business. So even if I'm not working with anyone directly at that moment, I may want to go ahead and maybe record a podcast. I may want to go ahead and record a YouTube video. I may want to go ahead and change some things on my website. I may want to go ahead and post on my social media account. I may want to go ahead and make sure I respond back to all of my emails. Whatever the case may be, I may even want to think of a different idea or a different vision for my brand. Who knows? But that's something that I enjoy doing. So I find some things that I enjoy doing, and I focus on the happy things and the things that keep me motivated in order to bring my peace back and in order to make sure that I'm remaining positive. So it's really important that we keep ourselves in check so that we can be the best us and we can have a great impact on everyone that we come into contact with. I want everyone that comes into contact with me to leave with something positive. Even if you don't leave with buying something from my online store, even if you don't buy something from one of my affiliate links, even if you don't watch a video, if you don't listen to my podcast, I still want to pour into you something of value so that you leave better than you came, pretty much. So I think that's another good tip to walk away with, is to keep yourself peaceful and positive, and to know that that's another struggle that a lot of entrepreneurs deal with, is having people around them that just drain their creativity and drain their energy from them. And you need your energy, you need your creativity. So I really hope that this podcast helped. I wanted to just have a chat with you all and talk about some of the struggles that entrepreneurs deal with while dating and also while being in relationships. But ultimately, those are 4 things that I constantly hear. And these are some things that I've gone through as well. So I'm right here with you. This was a really, really fun topic to talk about. I really hope that you enjoyed the tips that I had to provide. If you do have any additional questions, if you have any comments, if you have any other podcast ideas, please reach out to me at btalks@yahoo.com. Until next time.